And it's my pleasure to introduce Jake Johansson to you, part of, as he said last service, Team Johansson, that are our stewardship committee for this year, our stewardship family. And certainly last week, Kristen had an amazing offering to share about where she was and where we are going. And Jake is amazing. He's an amazing husband, I have to tell you, because I'm going to make him do it for the fourth time. When I said, Kristen did such an amazing job, he said this.
So I look up to Kristen so much that every morning I endeavor to wake up and do what I can to reach the cuff of her pant leg. What she does for our community and our church and for our family is phenomenal, beyond what you all see her do. So I can't quite compare, but I'm going to try. Husbands, significant others, we've just been wasted. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jake Johansson. I'm part of, as Tom said, Team Johansson here as your host for the stewardship campaign. Growing Beyond is the theme of this year's campaign, so today I'd like to spend a little time talking with you about being intentional as we grow beyond. Growth is a journey. It's the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to be better. John Cotter, a professor at Harvard, said most people accept their lives. They don't lead their lives. How about you? Have you accepted your lot in life? I haven't, but I realized a long time ago that we need to lead ourselves before we can help others. After we learn to lead ourselves, we then need to intentionally think beyond ourselves. If our little world is exactly how we want it, then ask what we can do to make the lives of others grow. This will allow us to give our prayers, presence, gifts, service, and witness. Churchill has been loosely quoted as saying, "You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give." You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give. I've used that quote probably about 10 times in speeches in my life, and it still hits me. First things first, though. What are you doing to develop yourself? You have to start with yourself because you can't give what you do not have. This is your foundation. Growth is not automatic. It has to be intentional. A little class participation here. Stick with me on this one. Your grace is going to be very important. So turn to your neighbor, be nice, turn to your neighbor, and tell them they need to improve on being intentional. Go ahead. Oh, nice. All right. Now take a break. Look back at them again and say to them, I need to improve to be more intentional. So that's interesting. In the first service, people were a lot more animated when they were telling the other people they needed to improve. Got a little quiet when they said they needed to improve. So maybe your growth journey's already started. Growth is a journey. We need to travel together. God ordained us for greatness. Know God and know how He works in order to be intentional in your life and the life of others. That will help you become intentional in your life and the spirituality in this church. When I think about intentional growth, I think about this church and all the people that surround us growing beyond every day for God. From Derbyshire, wherever Miguel is, from Derbyshire to VBS and everything in between. The Quilters, We saw a beautiful gift today. VPK, the thrift shop, not to mention the pumpkin patch. These gracious givers are uncomfortably thinking beyond themselves to enrich other people's hearts and lives. It's a testament to growing beyond, and they stretch their growth every day, living intentionally. I am not saying everyone should grow that far beyond, but I'll tell you, you're more resilient than you think, and if you're intentional about your life and your service to God, you too can make more of a difference. So why is it so hard to act? There are reasons for the failure to act and grow. First, everything that is worth something is an uphill climb. Think about it. Isn't that why we have a stairway to heaven and a highway to hell? Might be I-4, don't know. It's easy to know what to do. It's much harder to do it. The greatest gap in the world is between knowing and doing. I know I should give more of my talents to this church. I just don't do it. I sit right over there, 5 rows back, 3 in, listen to the sermon, and do what my wife tells me to do. Growth doesn't happen automatically for most of us. We need to figure out ways to grow. So we're going to close with some ways to help you grow. As you contemplate your spiritual growth in First Church, your pledge for the future, and the growth of our church, let me give you some things to think about. First, pick 1 or 2 areas where you want to grow in the church, whether it be prayers, presence, gifts, service, and or witness. Pick them and write them down. Next, make them public. The hardest thing to do is to make something public, then not do it. Ask Tom. He weighs in every week in public. Last, follow through. This is where it's a great idea to pair up with an accountability partner. Not only are Kristen and I going to give up our game this year, we're going to evaluate our giving quarterly, our time, our money, our service, our prayers, and adjust. And I guarantee you she will hold me accountable. In closing, again, we are blessed to be part of a church that's filled with grace and generosity of spirit. Go home. Be intentional. We need you to be a river of grace, intentionally flowing out to others, and not just a reservoir like Jake Johansson, waiting for someone to take a bucket of grace from you every now and then when asked. Think about growing beyond and give the pledge card some serious deliberation in the following weeks. Thank you very much.